By the end of this video, you're gonna have all the tools you need to sound absolutely incredible soloing on the blues at the piano. There are really just a few different types of blues licks and riffs that you need to know to be soloing at a professional level. So be sure to stick to the order that I actually put these licks in the video. It's gonna make it a lot easier, and you're gonna make sure that you get all the techniques you need to be soloing freely. All right, all that said, let's dive right in. All right, so here's how the first lick sounds, and I'm gonna explain the technique inside. All right, so it's really, really simple, and the technique in here is a technique that I'm gonna call sliding. We're literally sliding the black notes to the white notes, and that's how you get this sound. So when you're sliding, in this case, you can literally take your middle finger here and just practice doing that to start. And then we're using the thumb as a jumping off point so that we always come back to the thumb here. And you can practice this pattern just like that. We have the interval of a third here with the slide. So we're sliding from a major third to a minor third interval here. And then jumping, and right here, same thing. And you're gonna see that we can actually do some tremolos here that's also part of the blues. But we're gonna get back to that. Now, how would I recommend practicing this? Well, this is gonna be true of all of the techniques, riffs, and licks that we look at today. We're gonna take the form of a 12-bar blues in the key of the lick, and we're gonna practice that lick over the blues. So check this out. Notice the switch there, right? I did, because we're on the F7 now, and the F7 has a E flat. If we do that, we make it a major 7, that doesn't sound as good. So that's a really important lesson here. Something to avoid is, if you're going to practice this over the form, which is a really fantastic way to actually integrate the lick into your playing, make sure that when you switch chords, you don't play the wrong chord tone and have it sound really, really prevalent. So if we did the exact same thing, right here we're doing a major 7, but F dominant has a minor 7, right? A flat 7. So that's just a really important thing to keep in mind. So make sure to try that out. All right, let's get into technique number 2. Number 2 is a variation, but now guess what? We're gonna bring in that blues tremolo. And I'm gonna call this one the short blues tremolo because it's right in the middle of a bar. So check this out. So it's a really fast little moment. And this technique is really fun because we're actually using multiple grace notes to slide into it. So check this out. We're actually gonna do the index finger, but then we use the middle finger here. And we go like that. So I'm actually going 3-4 for the tremolo here. But the slide has the use of 2 fingers. So definitely try that out. Pause the video if you have to. So, super fun. This is something you're gonna see a ton in blues vocabulary. Now, another tip here, don't just learn exactly what I did. Take the technique, the short blues tremolo, and try to actually now apply it to some other licks as well in your blues playing. All right, this next one is gonna be the long blues tremolo. So check this out. So you see how this time we're really leaning into that tremolo. This is just another version of the technique where instead of switching out of it really quickly, we're gonna just lean into it and use it for a minute there. So I want you to try that. Try really holding that tremolo. Now, before I get into the next step, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to level up your piano playing in 2025. All right, now we're going to start getting into some really fun stuff, and as the video goes on, we're going to get more and more advanced. So this is a really important technique when it comes to blues vocabulary. I'm calling this one the pinky hold, because we're basically going to be using the pinky. It always stays on top as a holding point. So check this out. Let's listen to that one more time. And that's pretty much it. The real meat of this technique is that pinky hold and being able to move other fingers basically up the blues scale. And you see that pinky is just glued to the top there, it's glued to the root. Really, really great technique. And really quick thought I'm having, are there any specific players that come to mind as we're working on these techniques? Are there any people that are your favorite blues soloists? If so, please let me know in the comments. I'm always really, really surprised by the people that you all introduce me to, and I think it could be really fun to have a discussion all together about some of the best blues players that we can then listen to and take some more vocabulary from to learn and keep continuing to get better. All right, let's keep going. All right, so this is a big moment in the video because now we're gonna do a really important transition where we get more into linear skills. And we're gonna be talking about incorporating some bebop style lines now into your blues playing. And I'm gonna do this next one in the key of E because for piano players, unlike guitar players, E is actually one of the more difficult keys. So it's a little bit of an extra challenge for you here. So check this one out. All right, so this is a fun one. Tricky fingering. I don't even know if the fingering I just played is what I would ultimately want to use. Let's take a look at this together. So first of all, we're getting some approach notes. We're getting non-diatonic notes that are kind of leading tones into the chord tones here. So all right, so here's the fingering I would use. Hand pivot here. Again, thumb, and then thumb again here, and then thumb on G, up to the pinky. Okay, so we have a bunch of pivot points. This is a tricky one, especially because it's in the key of E. So you can see how we are now using some of those non-diatonic tones to get more towards the bebop sound, and we're gonna keep going from here. All right, so I'm gonna call this one Blues Bebop Descending. And we're gonna be kind of combining a bit of bebop and blues vocabulary into one single line here. And this is really fun because we're also adding some more rhythmic complexity and variation. Check this out. So here's the fingering I'm using, 2, 4 at the top. And then we have a triplet. So I'm going to put 4 here. And this is a tricky spot. So we're going to do thumb to 4. But we can do 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, which sets us up for this. So we're getting some of this really fun bluesy leading tone stuff where we have both the flat third and the major third, the sharp 4 or sharp 11 and the 5th, right? So check out the lick one more time. Cool, so you can see this vocabulary is getting trickier and we're really starting to learn how to blend these different elements together to get some really interesting lines over the blues. But really quick, if you want to dive way deeper into building up your vocabulary with a really clear set of licks and techniques that are basically going to just give you all the vocabulary you need, not just for blues, but for bebop, more modern intervallic lines as well, and other techniques that are absolutely essential to good soloing. Guess what? I have something awesome for you. It's called the Jazz Improv Toolkit. It has 121 licks that are specifically designed to give you all the different subcategories of vocabulary that you need to be a professional jazz musician. So if you're interested, the link will be in the description. Make sure to check that out. I worked really hard on it, and I think it's a really, really awesome resource. All right, let's get to the next step here. All right, we're about to get really advanced now, and what we're gonna do is combine some blues riff vocabulary directly with bebop lines. So this is something that someone like Oscar Peterson would do a lot. He'd be doing some beautiful blues riff or blues technique, and then suddenly he'd launch into a 16th note line. And that is what we are about to do. So if you learn this lick, you are going to be in really, really good shape. This is a tricky one. Kind of wish I didn't write it because this is really hard, but let's get into it. This is what it sounds like. Okay, wow, got it. Took me a few tries. You might not have seen that on video, but got it. So we start off with the pinky hold. We already know this one. Then here's where we get more interesting. So what we're doing here is, this is called Lydian Mixolydian or Lydian dominant. It's basically a Lydian scale, which is a major scale with a sharp 4, but with also a flat 7. So here we get more interesting. We add a diminished scale. So it's going to be B whole half diminished. All classic now at this point, moving in between some of the blues scale and the normal dominant scale stuff we've been doing already. And then here we go, basically do a 2-5 to the B flat 7 where we're about to land. And we add these intricate little rhythms. Cool. All right, so that's that lick explained, and I will also put the fingering up on screen, and of course you can get it from what I'm doing in the video as well. Let's hear it one last time. So again, if you learn this lick, you are in really good shape, especially if you can get that up to tempo. You should feel really, really good. And that's why I put that lick last. So in today's video, we went over a total of 7 different licks that also included specific techniques that are really going to help you move forward with your blues soloing and playing in general. Hopefully you got a ton of value from this video. If you did, please be sure to hit like and subscribe. And one thing I would really love for you to do is, if there are any techniques that you think I missed, please let me know in the comments. I love to discuss this stuff with you all. And then that way I can also do new stuff in the future or actually improve upon what I did in this video. Now, despite the fact that we learned some amazing and essential blues techniques, one thing we actually did not talk about is how to use the blues scale in a professional way. So many students use it in a very repetitive way that sounds like they're just using the blues scale and don't know what else to do with it. But there are some really cool, interesting ways that pros use this scale. So if you want to learn more about that, I'm putting the video up on screen, and I'll see you there.